Chapter 14. How the Almighty made known to the holy angels the opportune decree for the conception of the Most Holy Mary, and which of them he selected for her custody. In the tribunal of the divine will, as the inevitable source and universal cause of the whole creation, all things with their conditions and circumstances are decreed and determined, so that nothing is forgotten and no created power can in the least impede the fulfillment of the decree. All the spheres and the inhabitants contained in them are dependent on this ineffable government that rules them and cooperates with the natural causes unfailingly and unerringly in all that must be done. God works in all and sustains all by his sole will. In him lies the preservation of all things or their annihilation, for without him they would return to the non-existence from which they were drawn. But since he has created the universe for his glory and for the glory of the incarnate Word, therefore he has from the beginning opened the paths and prearranged the ways by which the same Word should lower himself to assume human flesh and to live among men, and by which they might ascend toward God, know him, fear him, seek him, serve him, love him, praise him, and enjoy him eternally. Admirable was his name in all the lands of the earth, and magnified in the plenitude and congregation of the saints, whom he ordained and constituted as a people pleasing to him, and over whom he placed the incarnate Word as their chief. When the world had arrived at the last and befitting stage according to the wishes of his divine providence, and when the predetermined time had come for the creation of that marvelous woman whose sign had appeared in the heavens clothed with the sun, and who was to rejoice and enrich the earth, the most holy Trinity executed the decree of forming her. I will now manifest what within the narrow limits of my reason and concept I have been able to comprehend. I have already said above that for God there is no past or future, since he holds all things present to his divine and infinite mind, and knows all by one simple act. But, reducing this to our way of speaking and to our limited mode of understanding, we conceive that his Majesty remembered the decrees of the creation of a mother, befitting and worthy of the incarnation of the Word, for the fulfillment of his decree is inevitable. As the opportune and preordained time had arrived, the three divine persons conferred with each other, saying, "Now is the time to begin the work of our pleasure, and to call into existence that pure creature and that soul which is to find grace in our eyes above all the rest. Let us furnish her with the richest gifts, and let us deposit in her the great treasures of our grace. Since all others whom we called into existence have turned out ungrateful and rebellious to our wishes, frustrating our intention and impeding by their own fault our purpose, namely, that they conserve themselves in the happy state of their first parents. And since it is not proper that our will should be entirely frustrated, let us therefore create this being in entire sanctity and perfection, so that the disorder of the first sin shall have no part in her. Let us create a soul according to our pleasure, a fruit of our attributes, a marvel of our infinite power, without touch or blemish of the sin of Adam. Let us perfect a work which is the object of our omnipotence, and a pattern of the perfection intended for our children, and the finishing crown of creation. All have sinned in the free will and resolve of the first man. Let her be the sole creature in whom we restore and execute that which they in their aberration have lost. Let her be a most special image and likeness of our divinity, and let her be in our presence for all eternity the culmination of our goodwill and pleasure. In her we deposit all the prerogatives and graces which in our first and conditional resolve we had destined for the angels and men if they had remained in their first estate. What they have lost we renew in that creature, and we will add to these gifts many others. Thus our first decree shall not be frustrated, but it shall be fulfilled in a higher manner through this our chosen and only one. And since we assigned and prepared the most perfect and estimable of our gifts for the creatures who have lost them, we will divert the stream of our bounty to our well-beloved. We will set her apart from the ordinary law, by which the rest of the mortals are brought into existence, for in her the seed of the serpent shall have no part. I will descend from heaven into her womb, and in it vest myself from her substance with human nature. It is befitting and due to the infinite goodness of our divinity that it be founded and enclosed in the most pure matter, untouched and unstained by fault. Nor is it proper that our equity and providence overlook what is most apt, perfect, and holy, and choose that which is inferior, since nothing can resist our will. The Word, which is to become man, being the Redeemer and teacher of men, must lay the foundation of the most perfect law of grace, and must teach through it that the father and mother are to be obeyed and honored as the secondary causes of the natural existence of man. The law is first to be fulfilled by the divine Word, by honoring her as his chosen mother, by exalting her with a powerful arm, and lavishing upon her the most admirable, most holy, and most excellent of all graces and gifts. Among these shall be that most singular honor and blessing of not subjecting her to our enemy, nor to his malice, and therefore she shall be free from the death of sin.